Hi, and welcome to another week in COM 130. This week, we are building upon our creative ideas from last week, and we will be starting our creative ads. For your first due date this week, you have a Photoshop worksheet, and for the second due date, you have a draft of the creative ads. For the Photoshop worksheet, it's very similar to past worksheets. Photoshop is a program that is mostly used for photo editing and manipulation. Like with the last worksheet, you're going to download the worksheet file and this time open it in Adobe Photoshop. If you have not yet downloaded Photoshop to your computer, you need to do that before you start on your worksheet. There are videos, as always, that you'll follow along with in order to complete the worksheet. Now remember that the final activity, which in this case is a creative ad that you will complete at the end of the worksheet, is worth a lot of the points. So it's very important to finish the worksheet, or even if you're running low on time, at least attempt that final activity. When you're done, as always, you're going to submit it as a PDF file, not as a Photoshop document or PSD file. Next, in more exciting news, we have the creative ads, which is one of my favorite projects in our class. For this project, you are going to use Photoshop to create 2 creative ads sized appropriately using the same audience specifications and product from last week's generator. So again, using the same audience and the same product that you got in last week's generator. When I say 2 creative ads, those are not 2 completely different ads that look totally different. Instead, you're essentially recreating the same ad, but moving things around and readjusting your ad to fit 2 different dimensions. One as a magazine ad and one as a Facebook ad. Now, as you look at the example provided you in Canvas, it will show you exactly what that can look like. You will likely use one of the creative ideas that you came up with last week. If you don't like the ideas you came up with last week, feel free to come up with new ones. And as usual, you're going to work on the project report as you do your project. Now, rather than go through all of the minimum expectations, which you should definitely be doing on your own, I want to touch on some expectations where I see students commonly miss points. First off, 2 or more images blended. These do not need to be original. In other words, you do not have to take them yourself, but you can if you'd like. But they do need to be legally obtained. In the announcement for this week, I do have a link that will bring you to a website where it outlines some of the best resources for finding royalty-free photos that you can use legally. Next up, when it says blended, it means really blended, making it look like your images are a part of one picture. If you just layer and cut out images together, that may not cut it. Say you have a product and it's a hammer and you place it over a polka dot background. You're not really blending those images together. You really want to make them look like one image. And as we look at the student examples in just a minute, hopefully that will make a bit more sense. Next, symbolic visual communication. This is probably the biggest place I see students miss points. I went over a symbolic and a literal ad in last week's video, showing you the 2 side by side, explaining the difference between literal and symbolic. If you have not watched that portion of the video, please go back and watch it. It is going to make so much more sense for you. All right, next up, we have the written content. You need an original and creative headline that must coincide with the visuals. One of the main ways that students achieve symbolism is by creating a visual play on words with their headline, which again, as we look at these student examples in just a minute, you'll be able to see what that might look like. You also need 1 to 2 sentences of body copy and a call to action. And this is where you tell the viewer exactly what it is you want them to do. So for example, if I have an ad let's say for Staples, and maybe I'm using Staples brand Staples. I don't know. Your call to action could be something like visit Staples today, or try it today, or really any sort of direct explanation to your audience, telling them exactly what it is you want them to do. It even can be as simple as find us in your local supermarket or find us at Target. It's a call to action, and typically that's going to have a verb in it. All right. Now, one of the most important things with this project is taking your time to find high quality photos that work well with your concept. If you want to use an actual photo of the product, let's say you're doing toothpaste and you want a picture of a Colgate bottle of toothpaste, I will allow you to use that under fair use for education purposes. Any other photos, you need to be sure that you get them from a legal source. So, for example, a royalty-free photo website. You also can take and use your own photos if you wish. Now, again, in my announcement for this week, I do have a link that will take you to a whole big list of different websites where you can find photos. But these are my 3 favorite websites. And when I'm doing a project and I need some royalty-free photos, I go to Pixabay, Unsplash, and Pexels first. I think they're very high quality, and they also just have a lot of variety between those 3 websites. All right. Next up, let's take a look at some examples of creative ads. First, I want to show you this example that I quickly created in Photoshop. So here is an ad that I created pretty quickly in Photoshop just to show you how you can blend images together. So I have 2 main images in this ad, the image of the laundry and the image of the toothpaste bottle. So what I did in Photoshop was I had the picture of the toothpaste and I cut it out from its background, placed it on this picture, but then I also wanted to make it really feel like it was part of the image, almost as if there was an actual giant toothpaste tube there. So what I did was I added a little clothespin and I copied it over from this one on the left, just to make it feel more blended and to make it feel like it fit with this picture. I also adjusted the coloring a bit. I made sure the lighting matched up, and this was the result. Now for this, what really ties in the symbolism is my heading for the whitest of whites. So it's kind of a play on words with laundry, of course. We like our laundry to be white, but we also like our teeth to be white. And then down here at the bottom, I have the call to action, which is also my 1 sentence of body copy. So I say use Ricewell natural toothpaste for a safe cleaning, blah, 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 blah. And use right there, that's my verb. That's telling me that's my call to action. Use Ricewell natural toothpaste. That's my call to action. That's what I want people to do. All right, next we have this really fun example from another student. With this picture, they blended so many images together. They have the image of the post-it up at the top right, the image of the couple getting engaged, the image of the Grand Canyon, of the car, and then of course the images of the post-its here. So this was a lot of layers that they were working with. And with this, we clearly have a blend of images. All of these different images are layered and combined together to make it look like one picture or one scene. We also have a headline, excuse me, that again plays into the visuals for life's important messages. And then our call to action is say it with post-it. With this one, they don't really have any sentences of body copy. Say it with post-it is kind of a sentence, but I really would be looking for a bit more than that in your creative ad when I'm grading. But this is such a great example of how you can layer images together to create a fun, captivating picture that's very unique. And of course, they used the logo from the company that falls under fair use for education. And finally, this is probably my favorite creative ad that's ever been turned in any of my classes. I absolutely love this picture. So this ad was created by one of my students, and he had three main pictures that he combined. He had the picture of the boy in his superhero getup, the picture of the background, which is just the sky background, and then he also had pictures of band-aids. And in Photoshop, he warped those and moved those around to make it look like they were actually on the little boy. So the original picture, he didn't have band-aids, and my student added those in Photoshop, which was very creative. He was this really fun repetition with the Band-Aid logo shape, and that is repeated up at the top to also add a bit of contrast for the text. And again, great headline that tags that, excuse me, that really works very well with the visuals, creating superheroes. Again, it just ties perfectly in. We have our body copy and our call to action. Try a free sample and see at bandaid.com. So those are the three student examples I want to show you. They're very fun, they're different, and hopefully seeing them shows you how you can blend images together and also convey a creative message. All right, now as you submit your draft, as always, double check the project minimum expectations. Make sure you've completed all sections of part 1 of the project report. Export your project report and both creative ads as PDFs. So I need 3 PDFs submitted: your project report, your magazine ad, and your Facebook ad. And then you're going to submit all 3 PDFs to the assignment and post your creative ads to VoiceThread for peer feedback. And with that, that is all I have for you this week. As always, feel welcome to email me or message me in Canvas with any questions you have. I am so excited to see what you come up with. This is really one of those fun projects where everyone takes it in a different direction. So I'm really excited to see what you choose to do with it. Keep up the great work.